All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the live stream. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And if you're new here, my name's Odum. Every Monday we get together, we live stream right here, a process of building ourselves a company which is going to generate us $1 million in revenue every single year. And that company is Pixel Media, where we run a podcasting and video production studio. So, lots to talk about today. Well, maybe not that much to talk about, but I mean, it says so pretty much in the description what it is that I'm trying to do. And I've talked about this before. I've been kind of hinting at it over the past month or two, is that I want to build Unconventional Mindset into the #1 podcast in Canada. What does that mean? I mean, whatever metric that happens to be, whether that's the number of downloads or whatever, but I just want to be able to say, I have the #1 podcast in Canada. So probably by downloads, I would imagine. Forget it. We don't need to worry exactly how that's going to be, figured out or determined in terms of numbers. We just want to be #1. So with all that being said, how does this fit into wanting to build a business, making $1 million? How does this fit into Pixel Media? And I wanted to just put together some of my thoughts here in a quick little presentation. I know I've given many of these before. And the real thing that I've been thinking about over the past couple of days is bringing a lot of clarity and a lot of focus into the work that I'm doing so that I can help myself achieve my goal. And for the longest times, as I've been doing these live streams, I've been kind of refining and narrowing the purpose for what I want to do and the work that I'm doing. But now I think finally, maybe it's even especially after doing, I've done 11 episodes of this podcast now and I've talked to some really great people. And I think it's finally allowed me to realize the things that I'm doing wrong and to really focus on having one very specific goal in mind. And that goal are you kidding me? Oh, there it is. See it? There we go. All right. And of course, my goal is to have the #1 podcast in Canada. So what I have decided to do that's my goal for the next 2 years. I also did a YouTube video on this a month ago or so, I would believe, in terms of the things that I know I need to do in order to make myself be the #1 podcast in Canada. But oh my goodness, this thing is really driving me crazy here. But I found that I've been really distracted by trying to do too many things at once. So I have the podcast, I have the live stream, and I have Pixel Studio. And my focus has kind of been on trying to do all those things and grow all those things at the same time. Kevin, how's it going? Good to see you as always. Howdy. How are things going? How was your weekend? Hope everything was good. Hopefully the weather was nice. Maybe get to spend some time with the family. Hope everything was really, really good. So I found myself being distracted by trying to do all these different things and splitting my attention between these two. And so I've really decided to just focus on the one thing. And that one thing is becoming the #1 podcast in Canada. And we don't want to stop from there, right? Once we get that. But I think that's a really good goal, at least for now to aim at. So how am I going to accomplish that? So again, I made a YouTube video on this. It's improving my skills, but I need to study and learn from the best. So look at all the people that are really high up in the game, seeing what they do, figuring out what are the things that I could incorporate into my videos and go from there. As a quick example, some people do those podcast trailers at the beginning of their episodes. Some people don't. Should I be experimenting with that? Things like that, of looking at what the best do and seeing how that could work into my workflow. And the second thing is creating a bunch of content that is going to document my progress into achieving the goal that I want to achieve and teaching the things that I know that have gotten me up to this point. So as an example, it's like almost trying to make the content that would have helped me a year ago or 2 years ago of a guy that just wanted to start doing podcasting, right? So if I can teach what I know, then I could attract the people that are interested in starting their own podcast or what have you, kind of get, that tribe of people that enjoy the content that you do, and that would help me in growing the business. And that gives me to brings into the third step is building a distribution network so that I can share this value that I'm creating. So creating these videos, documenting the process, teaching the things that I can, and creating a network that I can share and distribute this. And this is going to become really apparent considering the couple podcasts that I did yesterday. One thing that I noticed too, I should just do a little bit of sides, or last week. So I did 2 podcast episodes last week, and I just had so much fun talking to these guests. And one guest is like one of the leading marketers like in all of Canada. It's really crazy. So I had some really, really good insights. And yeah, I'm really excited for that episode to drop, not this week, but next week actually for you guys. So it's going to be super, super, super awesome episode. Lots of good stuff. But yeah, like I really found out that I just enjoyed talking to people, and I enjoyed doing the podcast so much. It's really given me that clarity and that, I don't know, not like permission, but it's like, okay, this is what I want to focus on. This in 2 years time, 5 years, whatever. This is something that I could really see myself doing and becoming. And so I want to focus all my energy into doing that. And I'm going to answer this question here going forward. Like, how does this impact your income since Pixel is your main source? Yeah. So, and then if I just go on to this next point here, this is my thought process, right? So this is an assumption. I think it's a pretty safe assumption, but we'll see how things play out here. So if I focus on talking about nothing other than podcasting and being super specific in my niche, I would imagine that the right people are going to find me and that they're going to want to work with me, right? So if I create these videos of, 10 things I learned after my first 10 episodes and how to get started doing your podcasting, or how to get guests on your podcast episodes, how to structure your show flow, how to ask the right questions, how to listen, like all those kinds of things. And I just put that stuff out there. Those in time would be the things I would hope that people that are wanting to start a podcast, they're going to be searching for, and they're going to be finding me. And on top of that, I do believe like the things we did last week where we were emailing people to come onto the podcast and, and just putting out those messages and introducing ourselves to people, doing that kind of work is just going to, by default, let people know what I do. And I think the work will kind of slowly start to trickle in. That's what I'm hoping for. That's kind of my assumption. We're going to have to see what happens with that, if that's a good assumption or not. So I'm not sure, but I know people are talking like in town about me. So we're going to have to see how that's going to go. So it's an assumption. I don't know. What do you think about that? So why don't you look for a job at the local radio station? I think that would help accelerate your personal and professional growth. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to go look for a job right now if I don't have to, because Pixel, as it is right now, it's still paying my bills because I have clients that are web design clients. I'm not going to go spend like 8 hours of my day just going to work at another job. I see what you're saying. And I think if I really needed more skills and I knew nothing about the industry at all, and I didn't know how to speak on camera, or I didn't feel like I was comfortable on a microphone, all that kind of stuff, then I think it would make sense to go and try to get a job doing that kind of work. But I don't think I'm at that stage where I need to do that. But again, if I was super young and it was what I wanted to do, I think that would make a lot of sense. But I don't think I'm there, because if I needed a job and I just needed I know you're not saying it's for money, but just doing the things that I do of reaching out to people and communicating what it is that I do, getting people onto my podcast. Like I don't have trouble getting people onto the podcast, or at least I haven't found that trouble yet. So, yeah, it's a good point, but I don't think that is for me right now. So a lot of this stuff hasn't changed from what I said before. What are my targets for 2025? The YouTube videos, and that's on this channel right here, is I'd love to get 1,000 views per video. So again, once I start getting a lot more focused and targeted on podcasting and, the business side of podcasting, all that kind of stuff, I think that's going to start to get in some solid traction. Podcasting in general, all the episodes, I want to get up to 500 downloads per episode. And I think I had before, I was looking at some of the stuff that I did like 6 months ago or whatever. And I was saying, oh, I was getting like 200,000 downloads per episode. So maybe that was a little bit too ambitious in terms of what my goals were. But I think having it by the end of the year, getting to 500 downloads per episode, I think, that's pretty high. Because right now we're averaging 55, I think, per episode. So it's like 10x growth in 6 months. That's going to be hard to do, but we'll see. So newsletter, I want to focus on the newsletter as well too. I want to get 500 subscribers on that. And I'd love to have at least a 50% engagement rate. And social media, I don't have any specific goals or targets that I want to meet with that, but I'm just going to experiment and learn to distribute my content all over social media. So yeah, so that's kind of how I'm trying to have those little targets of what I want to reach, that I think this is going to help me propel me to the goal. So on the day-to-day, what does this look like? So I have something here in the third point here. It's 1 hour of networking and inviting 2 to 5 people to the podcast. So what we did last week was really fantastic. I think spending that amount of time every day, I still want to do that, but instead of inviting people to come into the studio to just record their own stuff, just say, hey, listen, I love what you do. Why don't you come to the podcast? And that, again, I send them links to the studio itself, and then I send them links to the podcast, and they're going to know that there's a studio here in town as well too. So if I see people that really kind of need a studio, I'm still going to reach out to them. It's not like I'm going to go down to completely zero, but my real focus on the day-to-day is going to be getting people onto the podcast. And so, yeah, so other stuff, going back to the talk at the top, spending at least 4 hours of the workday just writing and producing content. So I just really need to focus on creating valuable content to put out there. Long form video, newsletters, like blog posts, YouTube shorts or social media posts, all that kind of stuff. Like, what was I going to say? Sorry, like Instagram, what is it? Instagram Reels, TikTok Reels, whatever. I don't even know what they're called, right? But all that stuff I need to start posting and getting myself out there on social media. Again, creating that distribution network so that I can really start to extend the reach of the stuff that I'm doing right now. So, this was really talked to with my last podcast, which I just had on Friday, about having so much content. We create lots of content, and I have a whole bunch of content, but nobody really knows about it because I'm not doing anything to actually push it out there. Like, I'm not even going on, like Reddit. If I had a Reddit subforum or subthread or whatever on Reddit, I don't know what it's called. Subreddit, I think is what it's called. I don't have anything like that. I'm not even there talking to other podcasters, trying to help them out. So all these little things I'm going to have to learn to figure out to really just kind of get myself out there and just kind of slowly kind of grow. And that's part of spending at least an hour a day just engaging in social media and just talking to other podcasters, talking to people, asking questions about podcasting, just getting involved with the community and trying to add value. These are all the things that, we've been reading a lot in Alex Hormozi's book, and a lot of the different, just like Callaway is a great guy that on YouTube that really talks about how to get your content out there. Like all these things that I've been learning and researching, that doing this stuff just helps you just make better content and to increase your brand awareness and all that kind of stuff. I've just never really sat down to really focus on getting that done and having a singular focus. So I think this is why I think it's maybe finally understanding to just try to limit everything into one specific direction and not try to branch out into so many different things. So 1 hour networking, I talked about that, just inviting people onto the show. And then I just want to leave some time that every day there's going to be some editing of the podcasting, just improving the skills as well, reading other books, going over my older podcasts, see what I liked, see what I didn't like, see what kind of questions I could have asked, all those different kinds of things. And just doing general business work and going out in the community as well to various networking events and things like that. So that's what things kind of look like on the day-to-day. And so what does this really mean at the end of the day? It just means that everything that I'm going to be talking about and doing is going to have to be about podcasting. So I'm just going to focus. I'm just going to be talking about podcasting. So it's, what does that mean for this live stream? I think this live stream is just going to be focusing on, like I talk about business stuff, but I don't know if it's going to be a recap of just things that I've done or if I'm going to do something specific about podcasting. I'm not sure. I need to kind of figure out how that's going to fit in, but I just want, the YouTube algorithm or whatever to just understand that when I post a video, it should send it out to like podcasting or whatever. So I want to figure out how we can clean up what YouTube knows about this channel and everything that I do. So yeah, I don't know. Lots of, hopefully lots of applying the things that I've learned over the past 6 months when I've been really kind of doing this podcasting, doing this switch over to Pixel Studios and everything, and just, yeah, trying to really, really make this work. A little bit of an update from all the reaching out we did last week. I think we didn't even end up doing that many. I think it was maybe 20 people that we ended up reaching out to through social media. So out of those 20 reach outs we did, I heard back from one person that was just like, hey, thanks for reaching out. Congratulations on your studio. You know, we actually were thinking about starting a podcast, but we haven't done anything beyond just thinking about that. So my whole thought process is I just replied back and said, oh yeah, you know, that's fantastic. We're really going to look out for what you're going to do in the future. And if it's anything like the work that you're doing, you guys are going to kill it. So congratulations with that. So that was one person. And then someone else said yes, that they want to come on the podcast, which was awesome. I think it was Joshua, and he's the guy who runs and started up a whole local beer company here in town, which is really, really awesome. So, but hasn't booked I sent him a link to the calendar and he hasn't booked it yet. So until someone books it and they're like in the studio recording, I don't mark it as done, but so that's good. So 2 responses out of 20. So that's what, is that 10%? That's not 10%. Yeah, it is. That's 10% response rate. So that's not as high as I would have liked, but you know, it's still really early because it's only been like not even a week since I sent out those messages. So that's pretty good. So still going to take stats and keep recording like who I reach out to and all that kind of stuff and see what we get from that. But keep reaching out. I think we're going to keep, I don't know. I think we're just going to keep growing. So that's where I'm at. I'd really love to hear what you guys, what your thoughts are. You know, I know it's kind of weird that I feel like I've bounced around quite a bit, just trying to figure things out and trying to figure out what makes the most sense for me, what makes the most sense for how I could end up making money. You know, and I think by having a successful podcast, or, you know, even if it gets to the point where I'm getting like a few hundred views per episode, I think we're going to start getting more and more traction, and we can start attracting some guests that have an audience as well too. And that's going to, people are going to be like, you know, where was this filmed or what have you? And I think people are going to hopefully want to film their own podcasts or work with me. So, and then like, I really can't wait till I get to the point where people are going to be asking me that they want to come on the show, so I don't have to go out and try to get people. So it's really interesting, but I'm really hoping by the end of 2025 that the podcasting is going to be the home base in a sense for the audience that I want to have. And that once you have an audience, I think the money thing ends up working on it works itself out in a sense, right? Because it's much easier. Like once I have an audience, as an example, you can ask them what it is that they want, right? And you can figure out what kind of product to make for that audience. As an example, with Pixel Pieces, spend all that time building a product that at the end of the day, maybe nobody even wanted that product as well too, right? Why are you building something when no one told you that they actually wanted it, right? Especially since it's like, well, I could just go with these other companies that already have this kind of stuff. So finding an audience, getting an audience is, I think, probably one of the most important things. And then when I have that audience, it'll be easier to sell anything to that audience. So that's where I'm at right now. And yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say other than that. Other than I'm excited, I'm super pumped. Keep a lookout on this channel because I'm going to be posting, like at least I would love to do 2 to 3 videos a week, but that's pretty tough considering it's just me. And if I start ramping up with the podcast as well too, because I definitely want to be super, super, what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent with the podcast by having 1 episode a week being released. That is really, really important to me. So we'll have to see how many videos I can get out. But yeah, going to be doing a whole lot more videos, a lot more stuff on social media, and just engaging quite a bit with everyone. So Rolando, Kevin, as always, thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate that. Is there anything, do you have any thoughts, questions? I would love to hear what you have to say. Let me know in the chat, the comments below. I'm going to keep plugging away, keep working at building the $1 billion company. And I think, again, like I said, I got some really good feedback from some people over this past week that this was a kind of a good direction as well too. So it's not like I'm just pulling this out of my butt in a sense. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. So in the podcast subreddit, people are constantly asking for guests. Maybe be able to find some local people. Like they're trying. So they're asking for guests. Like they're trying to find people to be. This is where I need to get on there and like I got to create an actual Reddit account or whatever and figure this stuff out. Probably figure this out starting tomorrow actually. So they're asking for guests, eh? So that's interesting. There's a couple things that. Well, the big takeaway for me on that, hearing that, is that people don't necessarily have the greatest luck in terms of trying to find people onto their podcast. And that PDF that I made, and I should turn that into a video of how to easily get guests onto your podcast. And like thinking of the Callaway hook or whatever, how he does his videos, where I could start the video saying something like, traditionally getting guests to come on your podcast is very difficult. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you do these 3 things, it's actually pretty easy. And then I'll just list off the 3 things. And then just instantly something like that should hook that viewer into like consuming all that content because they think it's hard finding guests and they want to find guests and they're going to listen to those 3 things and then hopefully execute and get those guests, right? So that's really cool. So yeah, doing whatever I can to try to figure out how I can help these people there. So Rolando, nothing, wishing you the best of luck. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, they're asking for other people in the subreddit to be guests on theirs if they meet the criteria. Yeah, so that's interesting too because they want to just interview other podcasts. So it's interesting to just ask for a blanket ask because I know for me, there's only certain types of people that I want to have on my show, not just having a person just for the sake of having a person. So I think that's one thing that people need to be careful of not just having someone that they don't really know just because. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. You can scroll through subreddit without a membership just to see what they're discussing. Might help target content creation. Yeah. So why don't you expand your guests' reach by doing interviews via Zoom since your area has very few residents. This way you could have guests from the US, Canada, and the UK. It's very interesting. I actually talked to my guest about this on Friday, saying that I was thinking that having people come in person is almost like a differentiator that I can have to everyone else because so many other people are having guests that are, that they're remote or whatever through Zoom. And if you can always have somebody in live, it just might be something that, could be a differentiator. But I don't know. I'm thinking about it, to be honest. I don't know. Hang on. I'm going on to Reddit right now. Let me see if I can find something. Oh, I'm never on Reddit here. Okay. But yeah, see Rolando on as a guest. Yeah. Well, see, what I would love to do is, once I get to the big enough size, is just fly people in. Talking in person, there's just something different than talking via Zoom. So, but I'm thinking about it. I'm not closing the door to it for sure, but having a personal conversation one-on-one in person is just so much different. Okay, let me share my screen here. Let's take a quick look and see if we can just have a look. All right, so Reddit, right. What do we have to do? I guess we got to go podcasting. Isn't there like our podcast? How do you do? Oh, here it is. This is it. All right, this is like super small. Communities. So communities. Do I need to look under? Oh, communities. Oh, that's where I'm at, right? I think that's what it was. Because if I go podcasting, you find the right one. Maybe I think this is it. Because this is like our podcasting. This seems like it's a thread. Okay, so if I go to new. This is all going to be fun, guys. When we all get together, we'll have to do some type of group thing once we're all meeting at the F1 in a couple years. Once we've made our millions. Hi, Kevin. I don't have much to contribute. Never say that. We all have something to contribute. You have a wealth of information and knowledge from all the work that you've done throughout your career. So just because you don't think that you have lots to contribute, I mean, there's so much things that I'm sure you could teach other people. I'm just someone with a bit of luck in a third world country. You're the ones from the first world. Here we have a different perspective on business. But it's always great to talk to people with different perspectives on business as well, too. So audio only. What program do you use? Yeah, just people asking questions. So these are things where you can just answer these questions, right? New podcast for interview band. Yeah, and here, yeah. So like little questions like this: ideas on ways to promote my new audio only podcast on Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, everyone starts from zero. So there's a video topic right there of, how to start promoting on like how to get your first 100 followers on Instagram and YouTube, something like that, right? I will approve this post. You need hot women on your socials to get people to look at it. Yeah, that's what we're doing wrong, eh? We're not getting. We got to get models to. That's what I need to do. I need to get models to come on and just do the trailer. What paid podcast marketing services actually work? Aren't just scams or a waste of money? Well, that's an interesting question. To be clear, I'm willing to spend money, but want to keep things honest. Yeah, buying listeners, I don't think that's ever a good idea. Buying reviews. See, this stuff to me is always pretty shady. Like I want to, like for me, I want to grow for real. I just don't want to boost my numbers just for the sake of boosting my numbers. I want to have people listen to the show that actually want to listen to the show. In my experience, SEO is the best way to grow your podcast outside of feed drops. Paying for downloads, yeah, our entire empty calories, yeah, 100%. That's like buying, a million Twitter followers. So then every time you tweet something, you get like one like and one retweet, but you have a million followers. It just looks stupid. Pod SEO. What's pod SEO? That's interesting. Unlock your podcast full potential with Pod SEO, the on-one platform. Interesting. Once I had a client who told me he preferred having 10 clients paying $100 each than one client paying $1,000. He also said that more people you serve, the more money you make. That's interesting because I have the complete opposite perspective. I would rather have one client paying $1,000 than 10 clients just yapping at me, for like nickel and diming. Like that's very interesting perspective. Because then you have to serve 10 clients instead of having to serve just one for the same amount of money. I mean, I feel like you're working 10 times harder, right? Especially if it's just managing a website. Huh, interesting. Mm-hmm. You had your show audited. That's interesting. Guesting on other shows. So that's one thing that I thought about is going on somebody's show. I guess that's what you're saying, Kevin. People are asking for people. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's pretty good. 6,500 downloads a week. Facebook ads. So that could be an interesting thing where if I find a clip or some clips that end up doing well on social media, you can definitely run ads against it and then try to promote your podcast that way. Very interesting. But yeah, I think getting people to view your podcast, that's going to be a big thing. Would y'all be interested if I did a 30 to 60 minute Discord Q&A for helping with podcasting gear on Tuesday? So who is this person? Instead of a one-time thing, turn your into a YouTube video, just linked. Yeah. Wouldn't linking to an episode on your YouTube video self-promotion? I guess you can't self-promote on Reddit, eh? I guess you get banned pretty quick from that. Moderator required full disclosure. I'm the head of podcasting at Podpage. So how do you find about like this person? Like who, like this, okay, I'm going to click on his name. Like, can you see? So this is his stuff. Unsub podcast. So this would be him. So maybe like this is him. And then if we see his, sorry, let me just see his podcast. So then he's got, oh, looks like he hasn't posted anything here in a while, but.
Hi everyone, Donut here. We're doing the Unsubscribe podcast now with Mr. Eli Double Tap. And
interesting. Eli Double Tap. Yeah, okay. Podcasting without video. Podcasting without video. Is it possible to have a successful podcast without video? What is the norm? Audio only is still much bigger than video. Your odds are probably, so long as you don't do video, would be really reason. Audio outperforms video 15-1. Video is growing huge for podcasting though. Yeah, different perspective. As I mentioned a moment ago, you are the ones from the first world, not us. Yeah. I feel like regardless of where you're from in the world though, I mean, it's like having more clients, but making the same amount of money, like first world, third world, like it still sucks. Like it doesn't matter who you are. Like it's just easier to deal with one, you know, the less clients generally, the better. But anyways, yeah, it's an interesting perspective for sure. But YouTube does grow. I mean, for me, my YouTube views on my podcasts are like the majority of the views as opposed to just the audio downloads. So I think video is super, super important. But anyways. Rolando doesn't discount or don't discount who the people listening are who may be inspired to find themselves in a similar situation. Yeah, exactly. Like you never know. It's what they always say. One of the biggest things you can do if you don't know like what market you're trying to fill or who you're trying to reach is if you can just solve your own problem or solve the problem that you wish someone told you like 2 years ago to get to where you are. If you solve that problem, you can easily find people that, you know, could be your people. That is interesting. Interesting conversations. Okay, anyways, I like this. Carlos Slim doesn't like your assertion. Don't know who that is, but yeah, I'm sure. Hey, if everyone in the world agreed with me, maybe the world wouldn't be such an exciting place. All right. Dun, 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 dun. It's nice to be wanted, but it falls flat when someone claims to be big fans but hasn't listened to your podcast. What is this saying? We get a lot of those too. I hate it. written by AI. So this is why this is why for me, I always take a lot of time to research the person before I send a message, typically, to not just say like, hey, I'm a big fan, but to actually say something about the work that they've done that proves that I've seen it, right? So you should start a thread and share your journey, share where you're at in journey, in terms of in like the podcasting or what have you, or in terms of just like in Reddit, you mean, Kevin? Like, I don't understand. I don't know Reddit at all. And I know I guess I need to read the terms of service, because if you just start promoting your own stuff, that's where you can get yourself into trouble, right? So I don't know exactly what I can do, what I can or can't do. So I guess I'll have to figure it out. But if I can, then I guess it kind of makes sense. But then it'd almost be like linking to like this live stream, which is like documenting this whole journey as well too. Yeah. Yeah. So Google it. So Carlos Slim. I don't know if I want to Google this, but let's Google it then, I guess. Carlos Slim network wife plus clients. Like who is, well, that's okay. I don't know. Who's Carlos Slim? A Mexican business oligarch. So he's the one that's saying that he would rather, holy, $92 billion net worth. This guy's got a few dollars, a few pesos. Family business. Monopolistic hold on industries. Oh, that's great. As the government has not been able to control real estate and art. Anyways, hey, listen, I certainly can't argue with this guy. He's got a few more bucks than me, so he knows what he's doing. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep just looking on this, reading up on it, and just joining, I guess, and then going from there. He has over 70 million customers. Well, I guess so. With that amount of money, it doesn't surprise me at all. I guess through all of his different businesses or whatever, that's how many clients he has. Yeah, I mean, but that makes sense though. Like, I'm not saying to just have one customer, then that's it. For sure, if you can have 70 million customers, like, that's amazing. You can certainly have that. But I guess my take would be, if he has 70 million customers, right? I'm like, would you rather have 70 million customers that are paying you $1,000 each, or would you rather have 70 million customers and they're paying you $10 a piece? I think it's better to have the ones that are paying you $1,000 because you just make more money that way, if everything being equal. But maybe it doesn't really work that way in that kind of vacuum, because I think the idea is have more customers because you could charge them less versus less customers, but you charge them more. I think it depends on the business and the industry as well too. So yeah. See you at the next stream. They already sent me out for lemons and lettuce. You gotta go to the store. You're on the errands. All right. Well, what is it about make lemons? If life give you lemons, then make some lemonade. So take care, Orlando. Thanks for dropping by. Very much appreciated, as always. When do you need a mixer? Confused by the mics. Looking for good USB microphone. Oh, so this is interesting here. What is it people saying here about cold emailing to recruit new people? I'm running a niche podcast and trying to get more guests on board. Figured cold outreach might work, but not sure how to approach it without sounding spammy. I sometimes tell people that I got a very polite no from Warren Buffett's personal assistant. Nearly all my guests from cold outreach. Every day of my life for the last 23 years. Yes, incredibly. Start with a quick blurb about who you are and your show. Keep it to a few sentences. Show relevancy. Yeah. That's good. That's good advice too. Mention specific reason why. Yep. Yeah. These are some really good advice right here as well too. I could send dozens of these each week. Yeah, you just got to hustle. So, yeah. Can you... Yeah, you can't link to like their podcast. It would be nice to see. Yeah, so that's cool. Okay, so yeah, so things. Anyways, I'm gonna be learning all these things and just documenting that process as well too, and just keeping some notes and seeing what works and what doesn't work, and trying to go from there. So thanks, Kevin, for that little poke to just kind of poke my head through here. I feel like Reddit's going to be kind of a good thing, and LinkedIn is something that I think I'm going to really focus on as well too, because a lot of business people, I imagine, are on LinkedIn. And from what a lot of people say, LinkedIn native video is one of the most like underutilized avenues or streams or whatever it is. Whatever they like, Gary Vee talks a lot about this in terms of what's like an underutilized asset or whatever for social media. So, and a lot of businesses are on there during the day. So it could be a lot of target people might be there who are running a business or they're doing marketing or whatever, and they might want to run a podcast for their show. So talking about podcasting there seems to make sense. So we're going to keep going from there. All right. I think that is everything that I have to say about that. What is that from? Oh, Forrest Gump. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. All right. So I think I'm going to end it here and yeah, get into podcasting. So yeah, everything is going to be about podcasting. So probably not going to talk a lot about websites and any of that kind of stuff, web design or whatever. So actually I haven't talked about that for a while. So, if you're still here thinking where's Pixel Pieces, then, yeah, you might be in the wrong place, but I do appreciate you being here. All right. I'm going to take off. Have yourselves a great day. Again, Kevin Rolando, thank you so much for dropping by. Always really, really appreciate that support. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much. Have yourselves a great day, everyone. Keep on podcasting. Keep on building your business. Keep on working. And, we'll all meet together at F1 here before we know it, as we all fly there. It's in our personal jets there once we're millionaires. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.